So the Wii actually had a pretty solid JRPG library, way more than most people realize. Some absolute bangers buried on this console that never got the attention they deserved, a few that fans had to fight just to get localized, and at least one game that genuinely belongs in the conversation for best JRPG ever made. Here are the 15 best. Starting at number 15, Shiren the Wanderer. This is a mystery dungeon roguelike, and if you've never touched the genre, here's what that means. Everything is turn-based on a grid. You move one tile, every enemy moves one tile. You attack, they get to act. Simple rules. But those simple rules create situations where every single step matters. Every decision has consequences. And one wrong move can end a run you've been building for hours. Because when you die in Shiren, you lose everything. Your level resets, your items are gone, you're starting over from the beginning. Sounds punishing, right? It is. But here's why people get addicted to this formula. Every death teaches you something. You learn enemy behaviors. You figure out which items are essential. You start recognizing danger before it kills you. The game isn't trying to frustrate you, it's trying to make you better. The Wii version has over 30 dungeons, and the main story is just the warm-up. Post-game content is where the real challenge lives. Dungeons that are infamous in the roguelike community for how brutal they get. What keeps it from feeling hopeless is the persistence between runs. You're unlocking shortcuts, storing items in warehouses for future attempts, making progress even when individual runs fail. So you're always moving forward, even when you're dying constantly. Combat depth comes from the item system. Staves that shoot effects in lines, scrolls that hit entire rooms, equipment you can upgrade and merge together. Half the game is learning what every item does. The other half is knowing when to use them. Do you burn that escape scroll now or save it for a real emergency? Do you fight this group or sneak around? Resource management meets tactical positioning. The downside is accessibility. This game does not care if you're confused. Tutorial covers basics, then you're on your own. If you need hand-holding, look elsewhere. But if you want a game that respects your intelligence and rewards mastery over time, Shiren is one of the best roguelikes ever made.
Number 14 is Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon. Don't let the presentation fool you. Yes, you're playing as a chocobo. Yes, everything looks adorable. The music is cheerful, the colors are bright. It seems like a game for kids. Give it a few hours. It will humble you. This is another mystery dungeon roguelike. Chocobo enters people's minds to help recover their lost memories, and each dungeon is randomly generated with turn-based combat. Cute premise, surprisingly hardcore execution. What separates this from basic dungeon crawlers is the job system. You unlock classes as you progress. White Mage, Black Mage, Knight, Thief, Dragoon, more. Classic Final Fantasy jobs adapted to roguelike mechanics. Each one changes how you play. Switching between them depending on what dungeon you're tackling adds layers of strategy. The memory restoration concept gives the story unexpected weight. You're helping townspeople recover things that defined them, moments they lost. It's not deep literature, but there's genuine heart between the dungeon runs. You start caring about these characters and their missing memories. Early dungeons let you coast. They lull you into thinking this is easy. Then, the difficulty spikes, and suddenly you're managing inventory slots, rationing healing items, getting destroyed by enemies that punish carelessness. The job system means you're constantly making decisions about character development on top of dungeon navigation. It's not the deepest JRPG on this list, but it's a fantastic entry point to the roguelike genre with Final Fantasy flavor throughout. If you want something challenging wrapped in charm, Chocobo's Dungeon delivers.
Number 13 is Dokapon Kingdom. Imagine if Mario Party had a baby with a full JRPG, and that baby grew up wanting to destroy friendships. That's this game. Up to 4 players compete as adventurers saving the kingdom from monsters. You move around a board game map, land on spaces, fight enemies in turn-based RPG combat, level up, equip gear, learn abilities, standard JRPG progression. The twist? Your friends are your real enemies. You can attack other players directly, steal their equipment, sabotage their progress, cast spells that turn them into useless creatures for multiple turns, claim towns they liberated, and take credit for their work. This game ruins relationships in ways that Mario Party look friendly. Single player exists but misses the point entirely. Dokapon Kingdom is designed for local multiplayer chaos. 4 people on a couch, temporary alliances forming and shattering, betrayals happening at the worst possible moments. Someone's about to win, everyone gangs up on them. Someone helped you last turn, stab them in the back this turn. The JRPG mechanics give it substance that pure party games lack. You're actually building a character over many hours, making meaningful decisions about class and equipment, planning long-term strategies while dealing with constant short-term interference from your so-called friends. Sessions run long. Full campaigns take forever. It's a commitment. But if you've got people who enjoy competitive games and can handle some real-life salt, Dokapon Kingdom delivers multiplayer JRPG chaos you literally cannot find anywhere else.
At number 12, Sakura Wars: So Long My Love. This was the first Sakura Wars game localized for Western audiences, and it's genuinely unlike almost anything else on the console. Picture a dating sim crossed with a tactical RPG set in steampunk 1920s New York City. Your squad pilots giant mechs, and how well you perform in battle directly connects to how strong your relationships are outside of combat. About 3/4 of this game is visual novel content. Conversations, dialogue choices, building bonds with your teammates. You're managing relationships, reading people, making decisions that affect how characters feel about you. The remaining quarter is tactical mech battles, where all that relationship building pays off mechanically. Characters you trust fight harder. It's not just story flavor, it impacts gameplay. The 1920s New York setting is fantastic, Art Deco aesthetics mixed with giant robots. Your squad is secretly a performing arts troupe that moonlights as city defenders. The characters are distinct, well-written, and the localization brings their personalities across effectively. Combat uses ground and air transformations for your mechs, adding tactical options. Positioning matters. Characters you've bonded with can execute joint attacks. There's real strategy despite battle segments being shorter than the social portions. Here's the honest assessment. If visual novels and dating sim elements don't interest you, most of this game won't work for you. The ratio heavily favors story content, but if you want something that blends genres in genuinely creative ways, Sakura Wars offers an experience the Wii library doesn't have anywhere else.
Number 11 is Opuna. You need to trust me on this one. Look at it. The art style is strange. Your protagonist is a round little alien with an energy ball floating above his head. The whole game looks like it was made for small children. I understand why people ignored it. They missed out. Opuna is a traditional turn-based JRPG with a story far more mature than its appearance suggests. Your family's spaceship gets attacked and crashes. Your parents are critically injured, placed in medical pods. You're stranded on an alien planet with no resources. To afford their treatment and uncover who attacked you, you need to climb the society's job ladder, working various occupations while fighting monsters as a Landraw Ranger. The combat system is unique and snappy. You control your bonbon attack by holding and releasing the analog stick, determining trajectory and power. Sounds simple, but there's timing involved, different attack types for different situations, party management as you progress. Battles move quickly without sacrificing depth. What catches people off guard is the emotional weight. There's genuine betrayal here. Loss. Themes that hit harder than the aesthetic prepares you for. You're uncovering a conspiracy about the attack on your family, meeting characters dealing with their own struggles, experiencing a story that earns its dramatic moments rather than forcing them. The soundtrack is legitimately excellent. One of the better OSTs on the system, elevating the whole experience. Almost nobody bought this game. It's a commercial failure that deserved better. The people who actually played it understand what was lost. Opuna is exactly the hidden gem that rewards players willing to look past appearances.
Number 10 is Fragile Dreams: Farewell Ruins of the Moon. This might be the most atmospheric game on the entire Wii. You're Seto, a young boy alone in post-apocalyptic Japan. Some catastrophe wiped out almost everyone. You're wandering through abandoned shopping malls, empty subway stations, ruined cities, searching for any sign of other survivors, trying to piece together what happened to humanity. It's an action RPG with exploration focus. Combat exists and functions fine, but it's not the point. The point is the mood.
This game achieves a level of melancholy that very few games even attempt. Loneliness permeates everything. The silence, the emptiness, walking through spaces that were built for crowds and finding nobody. The memory item system is what makes it special. Throughout the world, you find objects left behind by the dead, phones, diaries, personal belongings. At bonfires scattered through the game, you can access the memories attached to these items. Short stories about ordinary people, their hopes, their final thoughts. Some are devastating. Some are strangely beautiful. All of them reinforce the weight of extinction. Your Wii Remote functions as Seto's flashlight. You're physically pointing it into dark corners, searching for items, for clues, for anything alive. It's one of the rare cases where motion controls actually enhance immersion instead of feeling like a gimmick. The developer was clear this isn't survival horror. It's human drama. It's about isolation, connection, and what remains when we're gone. Some players find the pacing too slow. Combat isn't the game's strength. But if you're in the mood for something contemplative, something that prioritizes atmosphere over action, Fragile Dreams delivers an experience that lingers long after you finish.
At number 9, Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World. I'll be upfront, this one divides people. It's a direct sequel to the GameCube classic, set 2 years later. The world merging that happened in the first game had consequences, and they're not pretty. New protagonists, Emil and Martha, are investigating what went wrong, searching for Lloyd, the original hero, who's apparently been doing terrible things since the credits rolled on the first game. Combat is real-time action, classic Tales formula. Combos, special moves called artes, AI party members doing their jobs while you control your preferred character. The system is actually more refined than the original Symphonia. Better flow, less clunk. If you're here for combat, it's satisfying. The new gimmick is monster recruitment. You can capture enemies and have them fight alongside you. Pokemon Light, shoved into a Tales framework. Some players enjoy building monster teams, experimenting with different combinations. Others think it's underbaked compared to games designed entirely around that concept. The original Symphonia cast joins you eventually, but early hours are spent with just your monsters as party members. Now, the controversial part. Emil, your protagonist, starts the game incredibly passive. Whiny, apologetic about existing. There's character development, and it goes interesting places, but reaching those places requires patience. The writing gets cheesy, new characters don't hit as hard as the original cast. It feels like a step down in several ways. But there's substantial content. Long story, thousands of voice lines, plenty of side content. If you love the first Symphonia and want more time in that world, this delivers quantity. Just adjust your expectations. It's not as good as the original. It's also not the disaster some people claim. Number 8 is Rune Factory Frontier. Take farming simulation, add dungeon crawling with real-time combat, mix in dating mechanics and marriageable characters, blend until addictive. That's Rune Factory. And Frontier is one of the best the series ever produced. Every day gives you limited time, maybe 23 in-game hours to decide your priorities. Water crops, clear new farmland, explore a dungeon, spend time with whoever you're trying to romance, mine ore, fish, cook, craft. The game throws systems at you relentlessly and lets you engage with whatever hooks you most. Dungeons play like straightforward action RPGs. Weapons, magic, dodging, combat that's simple but satisfying. Monsters you defeat can be tamed and then put to work on your farm or brought along as fighting companions. Your farm produces resources that fund equipment upgrades that let you tackle harder dungeons that yield better materials. The loop feeds itself endlessly. Social simulation is deep. Characters follow schedules, have preferences, trigger events as relationships develop. The marriageable candidates have distinct personalities with their own story arcs. Romance isn't side content. It's a major pillar of the experience. Seasons change, festivals happen, new areas unlock. Completionists can sink hundreds of hours into this thing. The divisive element is the Rooney system. Little spirits populate different map areas, and their numbers affect your farm's productivity. Managing them can feel like tedious micromanagement. Some players despise it, others barely notice. Your tolerance determines how annoying it gets. If you want farming sim comfort mixed with legitimate RPG progression and combat, Rune Factory Frontier is one of the best examples on any console.
At number 7, Arc Rise Fantasia. I need to address something immediately. The English voice acting in this game is legendarily terrible. Not bad, not mediocre, legendarily, meme-worthy, awful. Line delivery so wrong they become comedy. It's notorious for good reason. Here's the thing though. If you can get past the dub, or better yet, play with Japanese audio, underneath that localization disaster is an excellent turn-based combat system. Your party shares an action point pool. Every action costs from this pool, so you can pour everything into one character for a devastating turn, or distribute points across multiple characters for balanced attacks, or conserve for defensive options next round. Every turn involves meaningful resource decisions. Positioning matters mechanically. Where your characters stand determines what they can hit and who can hit them. Elemental weaknesses are significant. Boss fights demand engagement with these systems. You can't autopilot through combat mashing the same strategy. The story? It's political fantasy. Mercenary protagonist meets mysterious girl with powers, gets tangled in wars between nations, uncovers ancient secrets. Not groundbreaking, but solid enough to carry you through. If you're playing in English, there's a weird problem. Audio cues during boss fights, like when enemies charge big attacks, are delivered so poorly you might miss them. Important mechanical information buried under bad performances. Play in Japanese if possible. The underlying game is legitimately great turn-based JRPG combat. It just got buried under one of the worst localizations in the genre's history.
Number 6 is Monster Hunter Tri. This is the game that brought Monster Hunter to Western audiences in a real way. Before Tri, the series was enormous in Japan, but barely registered elsewhere. This Wii entry changed everything. The gameplay loop is deceptively simple, except to hunt. Track a massive creature. Learn its patterns, tells, weaknesses, kill it or capture it, carve materials from its corpse. Use those materials to craft better equipment, accept harder hunts, repeat for hundreds of hours without getting bored. What separates Monster Hunter from other action RPGs is commitment. Combat has weight. Attacks can't be canceled. If you swing a greatsword, you're locked into that animation. Miss your timing, get punished. Every weapon type plays completely differently. Greatsword is slow and deliberate, waiting for perfect openings. Sword and Shield is quick and mobile. Lance is defensive and precise. Hammer is about stunning and KO damage. Choosing your weapon means choosing your entire playstyle. Tri had fantastic online multiplayer. Hunting with a coordinated squad, everyone playing their role, finally taking down a monster that's been destroying you for attempts. Cooperative gaming at its finest. The bad news, servers are gone. Online Tri no longer exists. You can play solo, and there's substantial content there, but a major part of what made this special is lost forever. The good news, the core gameplay holds up completely. If you want a demanding action RPG with incredible creature design and progression that rewards skill improvement over grinding, Monster Hunter Tri remains excellent. It's just a different experience now than it was at launch.
Number 5 is Pandora's Tower. This is the darkest game on the list, not close. Elena, your companion, has been cursed. She's transforming into a monster, slowly, constantly. The only way to halt the transformation is feeding her flesh from creatures you kill in the towers. The only way to cure her completely is feeding her the hearts of the 13 masters who rule each tower. You're tearing flesh from enemies and bringing it back for her to eat. The game doesn't flinch from how disturbing this is. Elena's reactions, her struggle with what she has to do to survive, the physical changes you witness when you're gone too long. It's uncomfortable by design. Gameplay centers on the Oraculos chain. This weapon does everything. Combat has you binding enemies, ripping parts off, creating openings for sword attacks. Platforming uses the chain to swing across gaps and manipulate objects. Puzzles require creative applications of its properties. One tool, unified design. The whole game built around mastering it. The timer is what creates tension. Elena's transformation progresses while you're in towers. Stay too long exploring, she deteriorates. You're constantly balancing thoroughness against urgency. Do you fully clear this area or rush back before she gets worse? Your relationship matters mechanically. How you treat Elena during visits, what you bring her, how often you return. It all affects which ending you receive. She's not just a plot device. You're actively trying to save someone you're building a connection with. This came out of Operation Rainfall with Xenoblade and the last story. It's the smallest in scope, the most intimate, the darkest in tone. A relationship drama wrapped in body horror and time pressure. Unforgettable if you can handle it.
At number 4, Muramasa, the Demon Blade. I'll say it directly. This is probably the most beautiful game on the Wii. Vanillaware makes games that look like paintings you can play. Muramasa is their masterwork on this console. Hand-drawn 2D artwork, animation that flows like water, colors that still pop over a decade later. Every screen looks like classical Japanese art brought to life. Gameplay is fast 2D action. 2 protagonists with separate stories. Momohime, a princess whose body's been seized by a malevolent spirit. Kisuke, an amnesiac ninja running from his past. Both campaigns take you through mythological Japan, battling demons and spirits from traditional folklore. Combat is quick and responsive. Dashing, slashing, juggling enemies in the air, switching between equipped swords mid-combo. Each blade has a special attack and durability meter. When a sword breaks, you swap to another while it recovers. Managing your 3 equipped weapons during intense fights creates strategy within the action. The food system ties everything together. Eating restores health, fills your soul meter for special moves, and different dishes have different properties. Restaurants throughout the world offer regional specialties. Small touch, big flavor for exploration. The problem? It's short. Each campaign runs maybe 10 hours, 20 hours total for both. Some people need more content to feel satisfied. Others appreciate tight pacing with 0 filler. Muramasa flopped commercially. A 2D action game on Wii in 2009 wasn't what the market wanted, but time has been kind to it. People who played it remember it. Those visuals, that combat, that music. Essential Wii gaming for anyone who appreciates artistry in game design.
Number 3 is The Last Story. Hironobu Sakaguchi made this game, the man who created Final Fantasy. When he left Square Enix and founded Mistwalker, this was his vision. You're Zale, a mercenary who dreams of becoming a knight. You run with a colorful group of companions, taking jobs, getting entangled in political conflicts, falling for a noble woman named Callista, whose situation is more complicated than you realize. The story stays focused on these characters, their bonds, their development, more intimate than most JRPGs, despite the epic backdrop. Combat innovates in interesting ways. Real-time action with a mechanic called gathering. Zale can pull enemy attention to himself, becoming the focus of attacks. While you're absorbing hits, your teammates are free to cast spells, position for flanks, heal safely. You're creating space for your party by being the target. It's tactical in ways that feel fresh. Variety keeps things interesting. Standard combat missions, stealth sections where you're sneaking and eliminating quietly, cover-based elements where positioning behind objects matters. The game keeps changing what it asks of you, preventing any single approach from getting stale. Nobuo Uematsu composed the soundtrack, the Final Fantasy composer. The man knows how to score emotional moments, and he brings that expertise here. The game has flaws. Dialogue gets awkward in places, technical execution sometimes feels rough, ambition exceeds polish in spots. It reaches for things that Wii hardware and budget couldn't quite deliver. But that reaching is exactly why it matters. Sakaguchi was pushing boundaries on what JRPGs could do. Even when it stumbles, you feel the vision behind the design. This game deserves a remaster that still hasn't happened.
Number 2, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Tactical RPG excellence. The finest Fire Emblem on Wii, arguably one of the greatest entries in the entire franchise. It's a direct sequel to Path of Radiance on GameCube, set 3 years later. The structure is enormous. 4 distinct parts, each following different factions. You control the Dawn Brigade rebels, then switch to the Grail mercenaries, then various national forces, watching these separate storylines collide in a finale that brings everyone together. The scope is staggering for any game, let alone a Wii title. Tactical gameplay carries everything. Grid-based combat, where positioning,
weapon triangles, terrain advantages, and unit matchups determine success. Every character has permanent death. Lose someone in battle, they're gone for your entire playthrough. This creates tension other RPGs can't replicate. You're not just trying to win chapters, you're trying to win them without losing anyone. Map design is consistently excellent. Each chapter presents different problems: defensive holdouts, routing missions, fog of war limiting what you can see, escort objectives. The variety across a 60-plus hour campaign prevents fatigue. Difficulty is serious, and there's something you need to know. The localization messed up difficulty labels. Easy is actually normal. Normal is actually hard. If you select easy expecting a relaxed experience, you'll get destroyed. Knowing this ahead of time saves frustration. The developers completely ignored Wii motion controls. Critics at the time complained it felt like a GameCube game. That's valid, but also irrelevant. They prioritized deep tactical systems over hardware gimmicks, the right call. If you care about strategy RPGs at all, Radiant Dawn is essential, one of the best the genre has ever produced.
Number 1. Xenoblade Chronicles. This game almost never released in North America. Nintendo had no plans to localize it. Fans organized a campaign called Operation Rainfall. Thousands of people demanding this game get brought west. They petitioned, they called, they made noise until Nintendo couldn't ignore them. Thank God they did. The world exists on the bodies of two dead gods, the Bionis and Mykonos, colossal titans that fought in ancient times, now stand frozen in death. Life evolved on their corpses. Humans, called Holmes, live on the Bionis. Mechanical beings called Mekon live on the Mykonos. They've been at war forever, and the Holmes are losing. You're Shulk, a young researcher who inherits a legendary blade called the Monado. This sword can damage Mekon, which matters because almost nothing else can, but more importantly, the Monado grants Shulk visions of the future. You see attacks coming before they land. You see deaths before they happen. The driving question: can you change fate? Combat is real-time with cooldown abilities. Positioning affects everything. Hitting enemies from behind or the side triggers bonus effects. Party synergy matters deeply. Setting up status effects for teammates to exploit, chaining attacks for massive damage, managing aggro across your squad. It's approachable enough to learn quickly, but deep enough that mastery takes dozens of hours. The world is massive for Wii hardware. Truly massive. Seamless zones you can explore endlessly, packed with side quests, hidden areas, collectibles, super bosses that will crush you until you're ready. You're walking on the bodies of gods, and the environmental design makes you feel that scale constantly. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Multiple composers, including Yasunori Mitsuda, delivering some of the best music gaming has ever heard. Tracks that elevate exploration, intensified combat, destroy you emotionally during story moments. There's a reason this game launched a franchise. There's a reason fans fought to get it released. There's a reason it's constantly mentioned in conversations about the greatest JRPGs ever made. Xenoblade Chronicles isn't just the best JRPG on the Wii, it's one of the best JRPGs ever created. Period.
That's the list. 15 games proving the Wii was way more than motion controls and casual gaming. Strategy masterpieces like Fire Emblem, atmospheric experiences like Fragile Dreams, hidden gems like Opuna, genre-defining epics like Xenoblade. The depth is real, if you know where to look. Some of these are expensive now, Radiant Dawn and Xenoblade especially. How you handle that is your business. Let me know in the comments what you think. If I missed something, tell me why I'm wrong. See you next time.